Welcome to Twin City Talk. Today we are talking to J.W. Ray and Levi Banks from JOLO and Rayson. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. And they brought us some, some wine. Yeah.
Cheers.
So, J.W., how did you even get into winemaking?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It wasn't a particular day, so to speak, but I grew up in the food and beverage business, and my mom and dad's side hustle was catering, and so my siblings and I all grew up moving food around at churches and Knights of Columbus locations or someone's backyard. So I always had that, in my blood. And then got out of the Army right after high school, and I got a job at a hotel in Boston, the Lafayette Hotel in Boston. And just serendipity should have it, there was a beautiful 5-star hotel there, and they had this gorgeous first Michelin star restaurant in Boston called Le Marquis, and I ended up just being a grunt guy in the food and beverage side of the business. And so I worked a lot with the maitre d' there, and I was a beer drinker, 18, 19, 20 years old. Who isn't, right? You're not really drinking wine on Friday nights when someone's having a party at a house, right? There's kegs. There wasn't box wine back then. So we're sitting there. I was invited by him, and I was only 19 at the time. He didn't know I was not 21. He's like, hey, we're having a taste through of some new wines we're going to put on the menu. He was kind of giving me like a thank you for all the grunt work I do. So you want to come join us for the taste through of the wines? And he was French himself. I said, sure, absolutely. So I go and I got my schmuck on from being in the dish pit and with the guys. So I'm sitting there, and there were some folks from Europe, from France, and there was one new up-and-comer from California called Kendall Jackson. This is back in 1989, 88, 89. So they were just starting to get going. And they poured all the wines, and they're talking about, can you smell the cream and the butter and the lemon curd and this and that? And then they get to this Burgundy, and they asked me, what do you smell? I said, I smell almost like a forest fire that's been put out in the distance, and I smell like I just sharpened a pencil. He's like, exactly. And he said, what else? And I'm like, this is wine? I mean, you smell all that from grapes? He said, oh, that's the spirit of grape, So, and then so I just really got involved at that point, just looking at wine. And then I bought a bunch of encyclopedias on it. Back then there wasn't much. You had Hugh Johnson pretty much back then. And started reading about all the different locations in the world and the different wines and how many generations are involved in making the wine. So I got really romanticized over it. And then as I got older, and 21 I could drink and go to different places, my wife and I, every vacation was wine oriented. So to me, on a vacation I want to relax. And I love food. I'm a foodie. And I became infatuated with wine. So would always go to a wine region. And wherever there's a wine region, there's a great food scene. Yeah. So that's what we did. All our vacations went to, wine areas around the globe, and started off in the U.S., of course. And just listening to all the stories, especially in Europe, where you're sitting with the 8th, 9th generation. And I remember I was in Burgundy, France, and the driver pulls over. He says, stop looking. It was right at the Clos de Tart, which is a very famous, Burgundy. And he said, look, right over the wall. They're ripping up 3 plants. I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, these 3 plants might not give the best fruit for 20, 30 years. And they're going to go 3, 4 years without production, and a very small production. Each bottle maybe costs $1,200, $1,400. So the winemaker, is not doing this for his sake. He's losing money today, and tomorrow, next, he's doing this for his grandchildren. I'm like, God damn, that's romantic.
Yeah.
So that's, I kind of got hooked when I went to Burgundy. I'm like, I need to own a winery. I need to live on a vineyard. I want my kids to grow up on a vineyard. And to me, there's nothing when you're on vacation relaxing. The bucolic setting of wineries are always off the beaten path, out of the mainstream, and just the nature and the birds chirping and the.
Well, they have to be for all the acreage that they have and all that. So they have to be away from everything else.
Right. Yeah. And that you just one with nature and the blue skies and the sunshine and the leaves just glistening with some humidity, maybe, or early fog, or drizzle, and the sunlight, just and the green grass, and the brown under the vines, the brown vine, the purple, the golden grapes, and then the green leaves. It's just, I mean, to me, it's just serenity, So that was my how I got into wine.
That's great. So when did you start with JOLO?
So we live next door on the property at JOLO and Pilot. So we purchased that property in 2010. And then we planted the first vines in the spring of 11. And then we slowly added more and more vines. And then we bought the adjacent property next door, which is now the restaurant and the tasting room, which was at one point the winery. So we built the winery there back in 2012, and my first vintage of that winery was 2013, but we've since moved the winemaking production facility off that property, and we moved it over to Dobson. So we have a larger production facility there. So basically it's just, wine and dine and fun in Pilot Mountain now, so there's no production there other than grape growing. Yeah. So we planted the vines there in 11, and basically we haven't stopped planting. Every year we plant vines. So I haven't had a year where we haven't planted vines, adding to acreage or just planting back things that we decided to change. So.
And then you somewhat recently you guys bought Raylan, and then now it's Rayson.
Yes.
And then you guys just hosted a really cool event. Can you talk about that? One of you talk
about
that?
Sure, Levi.
Yeah. So the event, Racing Around the World, it was kind of like an event where you could experience the whole entire world, but in North Carolina, So it was just something that's different that nobody else had done.
We were kind of going for like the Epcot thing.
Yeah. And it was so nice. I mean, the way that it was executed was amazing. The staff did an amazing job. Everyone was awesome. I mean, the only thing that we could probably want to change was the weather, but other than that, you can't change it.
Little bit.
It was hot, and then we got a rainstorm too as well. But other than that, I mean, it was amazing. You could go to Germany, you get the food, get the wine, the Riesling that we grow on the property, you get the food that we made on the property. I mean, it was amazing. You got to see that all the way to France, to the United States, or whatever inspiration it was. We had so many different things, and we have a bunch of ideas for next year, too.
Is it going to happen again?
Yeah. We've already planned the date. It'll be in November next year.
That's probably better weather-wise.
Plus, we have so many fire pits in the outdoor fireplace, and people love that stuff. And to me, I think of, wine, I want to be more cold than hot.
Yeah.
I love a nice rosé and things like that, but to sit there and luxuriate over wine all day, I'd like it to be a little chilly.
Do you think you'll do more countries? Do you think you'll stay with the...
Yeah.
Well, so the reason we picked those countries is we we purposefully represented where the grapes are from.
Gotcha.
So we have a grape called Arcatatelli, which is from Georgia, the country, and arguably the oldest winemaking region on the planet. And so their neighbor is Russia. We couldn't really find any good Georgian food. And they used to have a lot of it in Russia. And then Gorbachev, the great grape pull of the 80s, ripped up almost 95% of it. So it almost went extinct in Russia. So they did have a lot of it there. Mm-hmm. So we decided to do a Russian station. So for that grape, the Arcatatelli. And then Vidal Blanc is from Cognac, France. So we did that thing. And then we make a port-style wine. So we did Portugal. And then... So Chardonnay from France, French station there. Cab Franc, same thing. So, we gave them two choices on different days, one a Cab Franc, one a Chardonnay. U.S., we did Cab Sav. It's what we're known for here. Yeah. So that's why we picked those countries.
So what was from Germany?
Riesling.
Okay.
Yes. So, so we'll have that mainstay of countries. So every country grows every grape. I mean, you can get Cab Sav in Spain. So we'll probably add one or two more stations next year.
Why is it hard to find a good Gewürztraminer here?
It really shouldn't be. I mean, you can get a really good one in the Finger Lakes. They make really good ones, and so because they're more focused on it. So Gewürz is a very peculiar grape if you're a winemaker. So it's it's almost a lot like Pinot Noir, where it really represents the terroir, the sense of place. And it's not known for being super fruity, Yeah. So it's I don't want to say a linear or one-dimensional grape, but it's you have to be an enthusiast to really, really enjoy it.
I like sweeter wines.
Okay.
So
sure.
The Gewürztraminer actually speaks to me.
Sure.
Without being desserty.
Right.
You know,
for sure.
so I'm like, yes.
No, for sure.
Now, muscadine and all that stuff's too much sometimes.
Right.
I like that too. But I am usually a sweeter kind of, I'm a sweet kind of guy.
Sweet fella.
Yeah, I'm just a sweet fella.
Yeah, and that's what's great with converts. I mean, you can go sweet, you can go like dry, off dry, semi-sweet, sweet, and it's still a beautiful, I mean, it maintains its structure because it's got such great acidity. So, and that's one of the reasons you don't find it often too dry because it's a little bit off-putting. We did a Riesling this year, our current vintage at Rayson is bone dry. Because it's the first year I had a chance to really make the grape from scratch. The prior vintage that we released they already had the wines made, and we acquired the property. All I could do was kind of blend different lots together to get us there. So I just wanted to see the purity of the Riesling grape and that location, the terroir there, so we knew the baseline, what we're dealing with. Mm-hmm. So that's why we went bone dry. So this year we might, do a small batch where it's off dry. But to me, I agree with you. It's the most underappreciated sector of wine is the sweet aspect. Whether it's a port, a sweet vermouth, a Riesling, a Gewürz, to me it doesn't get enough respect. There's a time and a place for everything. And, you're gonna have sweet, you're gonna have Szechuan or spicy food or Thai food, that's what you go for? Absolutely not. You can have that with beautiful cheeses. It goes great with charcuterie. Mm-hmm. I mean, think of a fig wrapped in bacon or a date wrapped in bacon. It's sweet and savory. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Why not with food? So to me, and we try to educate people with our wine tastings at JOLO. We do the flights and bites at Rayson as well, where we do these unique pairings that I don't think are unique. I just think they're untapped.
Yeah.
At least here. You go to Europe, there's plenty tapped. They get that stuff figured out.
Yeah, see, I find it hard to get in line with this wine goes with this kind of food. If I like that kind of wine and I like this kind of food, I'm having that wine with this food.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think that sometimes, like I was reading a really good book and it was basically talking about how, it's not always about pairing it to the food just because not everybody likes that, and so being in the restaurant industry and seeing it day to day, I help hundreds of people a week, if not thousands sometimes, pair wine with food, and sometimes it just comes down to the person. You pair it to the person because if you don't like red wine,
right. You're
out of luck.
Tim likes sweet wine. He's not going to want
you're not going to like it. Yeah.
So
I when I was doing the show with Jordan in the past, I was one of the judges for the state wine competition. And dry wine, red wines are not my thing at all.
Right.
And in one day, I tried over 80 of them.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't taste anything by the end of the day, all of us. And there were some actual professional judges at my table. And they're all like, okay, so just if you taste something different, rate everything a 3 here because it got ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, it was one after the other after the other. They said, if you taste something different, rate that. If not, then move on, because if you are trying to go through every one of them, you're not going to notice anything.
Right.
So, and I just think that it was bad because we were the only table that got that, because it's, different tables got different stuff.
Right.
And all of us were kind of complaining about that.
Palate fatigue, it's true.
Yeah.
Huh.
No amount of oyster crackers was taking that away.
that was probably part of the culprit.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, they took us to what's the one in Dobson? Shelton. Because they had the food they were serving us.
Grill.
And I'm not a big IPA beer drinker, but I said I need an IPA to scrape all that off my tongue. And it worked, but I'm like, that was just rough. And again, all the judges were complaining.
Yeah, some sparkling might have helped too.
It's true.
Sparkling does help tremendously.
It's similar to the beer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Good point,
Wow.
So where are you guys originally from?
I'm born and raised here.
Well,
I was born in Winston, and then I was raised in Pilot Mountain. So my whole life, my mom,
The Pilot Mountain.
the Pilot Mountain, it's crazy. And so my mom, actually before that, my Meemaw, I call her my Meemaw, and she started a bed and breakfast in the 80s. It's called Scenic Overlook Bed and Breakfast. And then my mom followed her path and bought a bed and breakfast. It was called Pilot Knob Inn Bed and Breakfast.
Yeah. Who is your mom?
Jennifer Allen.
I may know her.
Maybe, yeah. Really nice lady.
I've heard of both of those inns.
Yeah. So my Mima shut down in 2008. Well, right, whenever everything kind of went downhill, she was kind of done with it anyways. And then my mom, she's been keeping that going. And I was born and raised on that property my whole life until high school, and then we moved off property. But yeah, so for me, this is all local. I lived in Charlotte for a little bit, like 2 years, 3 years, but I kept working at JOLO. I drove back and forth. It's just something.
So what do you love about Winston?
Yeah, that's the question, right?
Yeah.
JOLO.
JOLO. It's so funny because I think Winston is an amazing city, and there's something that's always pulled me back to this area, and it really is. It's something that like I can't even put my finger on it. There's something that's always brought me back. But what I love about Winston, and I think this is such a generic answer, I think a lot of people probably say this, I think I love the versatility behind it. You could walk outside right now and go to a genuinely impressive restaurant if you wanted to. You could go to a bar. You can go to a fun bar. You could go, wherever you go, there's something for you. There's an art museum.
Ride a bull.
You could ride a bull. There's plenty of places for that. There's a time and a place for everything, too.
Yes.
That's at nighttime if you want to go out. But yeah, it's really cool. There's art, there's history, there's a bunch of stuff to it. And the cool thing is there's a lot of like potential that I see in the area. I see a lot of progress. Every time I come here, there's something different. Or there's a new restaurant, or there's a new bar, or there's a new something going on, and it's really cool to see that. And it's funny, whenever I was growing up, I lived 30 minutes away in Pilot Mountain, and I used to always think it was like so far away, and I used to think it was the big city, because that's big, we're in a big like tower right now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to the big city, even though it's not that big. And what's funny is as I've gotten older, I've got that like idea is flip-flopped. Like Winston's in pretty much everybody's backyard. It really is. I pass it every day going to Rayson. And the cool thing is it's not that big city, which is good because I like it to be more personable. Like you go to Charlotte, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's like the 16th biggest city in the US right now, something like that. Mm-hmm. The population is unbelievable. You go there, you're in traffic for 2 hours.
Traffic's terrible.
You go here,
there.
you get the city vibe, but you also get the personal experience of a small city at the same time.
Although at times the traffic here
that's always construction.
sucks like a Hoover.
Yeah, but that's changed a lot with the bypass. I've noticed it. Every morning I used to get hit in traffic. Every morning going to Rayson, that bypass completely helped it. I haven't hit traffic, and I couldn't tell you how long. Yes, if you leave at 5:30, I'm sure it's probably tough for you leaving in the city, but still, I like that.
Still better than
feel
Charlotte.
Yeah.
Day.
Yes.
So what about you? What do you love about Winston?
Similar, not that I want to steal his answer, but to me, we moved here from the Fort Lauderdale area, and we lived in Miami for 8 years, and then Fort Lauderdale for 20 years almost. And when I went down to Miami, South Beach was a ghost town. Literally, there were boards on the windows. The Clevelander was open, but all the hotels, literally right on ocean, had plywood covering the windows. It was just post the S&L crisis, and all the condos basically went belly up, and Miami was a ghost town. So it was a bad scene. And then it was literally a ghost town. It wasn't even, Cleveland was the only place to go. So this guy Kramer comes in from Germany and starts buying the place, and then Versace moves in, he buys the house down the street, and then all of a sudden some of these hotels start popping up. They started off as apartment buildings, and then they ended up being condos, and other people came in behind, and it became Miami. But if you ask anybody who lived there in the early 80s, mid 80s, it was dead. Yeah. And to me, I'm seeing the renaissance with Winston just being here for a decade. So when I first got here, I'm like, this place is a ghost town. There was really nothing. It was hard to even find a restaurant. Yeah. So I'm not disparaging anybody, as far as restaurants go, but it's the people that were here then are still here now. But there's definitely new up and coming, really high end, like Levi was saying, restaurants that have real gastronomical prowess, which really wasn't the case. So like I go to Village Tavern every Tuesday. But I'm not going to tell people, oh, you go Winston-Salem, you got to go to Village Tavern. Anybody who's going to Raleigh, you tell them you have to go to Angus Barn. I mean, it's an institution. So, I think we're getting those type of calls here and now where you have those anchors. Mm-hmm. So to me, the renaissance and seeing it uplift and seeing the vibe changing, where it's more alive and it's getting younger. And to me, it's a very safe city. I have no problem at all walking the city anywhere. It's a very walkable city. It's a very clean city. I mean,
that is true.
I mean, you can.
It's almost Disney World like. Because you can drop something and within 20 minutes somebody is coming along and from the partnership, the downtown partnership, and cleaned it up.
Right.
Like in Disney, if you drop your ice cream bar, it's like 3 employees or cast members converge on it, and in 20 seconds it's gone.
Right.
So
it's true.
Yeah.
But that's to me, that's what I've noticed most is that uplift. It's like a whole new person than it was a decade ago. So there's energy now, there's vibe, all these new apartments that are opening up. It's bringing younger people here, where before they weren't even here. So I love being in Winston. And, I think about, go to Raleigh. What am I going to get in Raleigh? Besides tons of traffic, it's 2 hours away. So, and now we're getting some nice hotels. Before there wasn't really anything. So the Kimpton's doing a great job. You can recommend people there with confidence. The Marriott. So there's a lot of the Indigo as well. I always forget about the Indigo. So here you have the ability now to start recommending high quality restaurants. Your backyard is a wine scene. The 7th, 8th largest wine producing state in the country, right here in your backyard. Mm-hmm. Great gastronomy. You don't need to spend 2 hours driving to Raleigh back and forth or Charlotte, and like Levi said, all the traffic. And so it's it has that hometown feel, but it's still walkable, safe, and you get all the other creature comforts.
Yeah.
And I'm from Boston originally, in case anybody's wondering with my accent.
I kind of figured that.
I was about to say, that's not a Floridian accent.
I know. All right, so I know you were showing Tim your swirling techniques. Since we're on video, do you want to show the people?
I'm on video?
Yeah, right there.
Hello. I didn't even realize you were there. So this is our 10th anniversary, which we're really proud of, obviously. I put a lot of time and effort into this 10th anniversary.
And might I say, this is drinking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Sorry to interrupt, but this is drinking phenomenal.
Yeah.
It did.
Gone.
So
Au revoir.
oh wow! So this this just got 95 points in California at the Sommelier Challenge, and they were gushing over how if you put this in a blind tasting against other Bordeaux's, people would have a hard time telling you this is not from Bordeaux. And sure enough, when you do the unveiling, it's from North Carolina. It's going to blow people's minds. That's the lead judge's comment. I'm paraphrasing, but that's exactly the gist of it. So you need a glass like this to really appreciate it. In a small little glass, this has so much going on in the glass, aromatic-wise, and then you have the beautiful palate.
The glass itself breathes. It's not just.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much room in here that the floral aspects, all the things up front get to be up front.
Agreed.
And you get your nose inside.
And your beard.
In your beard. Sometimes, yes.
With this glass, it's unavoidable.
That's right. So it's, I am all about the science of drinking, right? And it's like people drinking exactly. It's like the people who drink beer out of a bottle or a can.
Good.
It's lip smacking.
That means it's good.
That's real good.
That's good shit.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, people who
Cheers.
drink beer out of cans and bottles. I'm like, what are you tasting? You're tasting the can. You're tasting the bottle. You put it in a glass. Your nose, because taste is 75% smell.
100%.
And you get
75%, but 100% correct.
Yeah, right. You're in there, so you're experiencing the whole thing. Same thing with wine. Obviously, you wouldn't drink that from. Well, some people do. If you're out in a festival, I can understand the canned wine and stuff.
Please no.
But I mean, if that's all you can get from
If it's
a
all you can
vendor,
get,
I can't get behind the beers and IPAs and all, like, none of that stuff. And I feel like they try to be like wine.
Bourbon crap.
Well, it's just like half the time they're like, oh, you're gonna smell the crazy, the nastiest thing you've ever
smell
smelled.
hops.
No.
Yeah. It'll be like the craziest stuff. I don't want to name some of the stuff because it's disturbing almost in a way. And they're like, "Oh, you're gonna smell it." I'm like, "No, it stinks."
Feet. You're gonna smell feet.
Yeah, that's like the stuff that
like
sells.
a skunk like a mile away.
And it's just not nice. But like the wine is romantic. It is. It's like there's so many intriguing things. And what I also love about it is a lot of things that you connected to are experiences. Like you've experienced it in your life, and that's most of the time you experience. You think you're like, wow, it smells like rose petals. Like it's one time that you smelt rose petals or strawberries. Like I relate some wines to like my Nana's strawberry jam, or it's nice, and it gives you like something to relate to, which is really nice. Whereas the other things you're like, yeah, the stinky feet. You're like, how do I relate to that? I'm like, that sounds like a bad time, a bad experience.
It smells like a gym.
That's going back to Tim's point earlier about just pairing anything you want with wine, which is perfectly acceptable. There's nothing wrong with that. Eat what you like. But we've had people you've heard it
all the time. I already know where you're going with this. Yeah,
saying usually it's two things they say. I didn't like red wine, but with this food, I like red wine. Yeah. So and they'll gush over how it was such an impactful experience, the food, because of the wine and vice versa. And what I like about the food and wine pairings, to your point about the Gewürz, is it gives people a chance to try wines they otherwise normally wouldn't try, and then they try it side by side with that food and the pairing and how it's like a fireworks on the palate. So it's kind of like Oreos and milk. Oreos and grapefruit juice wouldn't be so good.
No.
So you could definitely do that pairing, but they're not going to help each other.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about the food and wine business is you can go down that path and explore, and you could pair Pinot Noir with salmon or maybe a Syrah. It depends on the sauce. So you can do a lot of different things and change people's minds about pairings as long as it works.
Now, I want to clarify that I do love, whether it's beer, whether it's spirits, whether it's wine, I do like theme dinners and stuff because I like to see others' interpretations of how because there's science behind that too, right? And things that go better with it. And so I do want to, my point is I don't want to sit and say, should I order this food and have this wine? Or, if I'm going, I just want to eat and drink and enjoy. But if I'm going to a theme or a specific pairing, I love those things because it's a learning scenario, plus it's usually fantastic. And again, science. I am not a scientist. I just play one on this podcast. And I just like the science behind food and beverage, no matter what beverage that is.
Yeah. Every Wednesday.
Well, wine's going to have the most science. The other stuff. They're charlatans.
Yeah, we do a wine pairing every Wednesday.
Oh, it's process and adding garbage. So.
Right. So how can people find out more about both of these locations?
Well, I mean, obviously the internet's the www thing. Yeah. So if you're looking for reservations at either restaurant or an open table, we're on TripAdvisor, obviously, but a reservation-based system for wine tastings and the food at both restaurants or an open table. So JOLO Winery or Rayson Winery. And, obviously Facebook and Instagram and all that good stuff.
And both wineries are 21 and up only, right?
They are. So we had a lot of questions on that.
That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it kind of stemmed early on during COVID when, the rules came down where we could only have so many people in the building at a time and social distancing. So we all thought to ourselves, well, if my business can only be 20% of what it could have been, I can't have 50% of that be children. Yeah. Otherwise, we might as well not even be open. Might as well close the doors.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, we said, hey, since COVID's here, we're going to go 21 and up because we need every dollar to come in from people that can actually try the wine.
Yeah.
So, and we don't really serve anything else besides wine and water and people ask all the time, why don't you serve coffee? Why don't you serve Coke? I said, well, we serve what we grow. Yeah. And, go to Juan Valdez in Colombia and say, hey, can I get a Coke? So
it's a whole different kind of Coke in Columbus.
That's right. Exactly. That's a good point. So that's how we started that, and then we just got a lot of great feedback from the guests saying, "Well, this is really a nice situation. It's so relaxing and calm here." Because we would have people that would complain, like, "Hey, we came all the way from Raleigh. We drove 2 hours. It's our 25th wedding anniversary, and there's kids playing frisbee. They can't help their kids. And we have 2 kids. It's named after our kids. We love kids.
Yeah.
So, but when they're playing frisbee, because the parents want to relax, and they bring entertainment for their kids." And then they'll do a tasting or sitting there, and the kids are rolling down the hill, walking around the lake.
Screaming.
I actually one day had to pull the kid, not physically, verbally, out of my tree.
Oh, gosh.
So the parents are sitting at the table like 50 feet away. I'm like, "Hey, kid, get out of the tree." And the parents are like, "Hey." I'm like, "Dude, if he falls and breaks his leg, you're going to sue me."
Yeah.
Look, I can't sue you for being a derelict of a parent. Watch your kid.
Yes.
Get your kid out of my
It's the law, unfortunately.
Get your kid out of my tree.
Yeah.
And there's people all around here. I mean, this is not a playground. That's why I say, you know what? This whole COVID thing's staying, you know, because we went back. I'm like, now we're going to go back to 21 and up,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean,
and to me, it's kind of the atmosphere you want. We serve high quality food. You're doing a tasting. You're trying to get all your senses involved. And, you know, having peace and quiet, enjoying wine is kind of critical.
So
you know?
I understand that Suzy has very young children.
How old?
Well, so I have 2 young ones. One's 2, one's 3, and then I have an 18-year-old daughter.
Oh, my God.
So
Well, at least you get an extra babysitter.
Well, she's about to go out to High Point University, so.
I have only one. He's 23.
Okay.
And is a sous chef for a catering company.
Wow.
So,
Here locally?
Yeah, Elevated Catering.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so
good for him.
he's the
So he likes cooking.
Oh yeah.
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 Awesome.
But
We're always hiring.
I always hate going to, well, I don't go out to a lot of places right now anyway, but
Something happened?
no.
Okay.
No,
I'm
no.
kidding.
No, it's just kids everywhere.
Right.
And I'm
dogs.
like, and then it's like you're going to go refresh your beer or get another glass of wine or, you know, another liquor thing.
Sure.
And you're tripping over kids.
Sure.
And no offense, I'm like,
I tell
this
my
is
kids
not
what to
the
do.
place for these kids.
Right.
And then they're like, if somebody says damn or shit or something, they're like, and I'm like, you brought your kid to an adult location.
Right. Yeah.
Deal with what's happened.
You know, and then the young children start screaming, not because something's it's just they have gas or whatever, like a baby, and in a small dining room. That's disruptive, especially if it's your anniversary.
Yeah.
And they just got a babysitter to get an adult night away from the kids.
Yeah.
So they want to be away.
Yeah.
So most people that come to us are trying to escape.
Yeah.
Not go back to.
I mean, like he said, I have kids, but I love it both of those places because it's
Thank you.
an escape. It's,
Thank
you know,
you.
but I also discipline my kids, so they won't be doing any of that.
And if you think about it, like I've said before, there's 1,000 restaurants that allow it. There's 1,000
there's a
places that
place
allow
for it,
dogs.
yeah.
There's pretty much everybody else
time
does
and a
it.
place for everything.
There's not 1,000 places that doesn't allow it to
Yeah.
give you that place and give you that
Tranquility.
time.
Tranquility.
Yeah, and to actually get out and enjoy it. So that's what sets us apart.
Yeah.
That's
I
why we're
love it.
different.
Spoken
Yeah.
like a true ambassador.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us today and the
course, yeah.
awesome wine.
Thank you so
pleasure,
much for
our
having
pleasure.
us.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's empty glass. Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks for listening, everyone. This is Twin City Talk. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you. The views and opinions portrayed by guests on this podcast are not necessarily those of the distributors and hosting companies. And if you love this podcast, that's great, but don't think about stealing it. Reach out to us and talk about the content because it is copyrighted.